Was very young and live in New York City. The worst area in Manhattan was few areas, but 42nd Street, Times Square. That's where I would spend a lot of my time watching these kung fu movies for $2, $3 for back to back, two, three movies at a time sometimes after school.
Let's go all the way back to the beginning.
A martial arts champion in search of the glow.
Of course, you were a very talented and skilled martial artist well before that film ever came out, and that showcased a lot of your talents. So, when did you start training in martial arts? Like, what got you interested to say, hey, I want to start doing this kind of stuff?
Well, my father was, really good looking guy. He got bullied in his neighborhood and had a fight because the guys were jealous and this and that. So he had two boys before he had his daughters, my sisters, and he put me and my brother when we were very young kids into martial arts. But we didn't, my brother didn't take to it as we got older. I was just going through the motions when I was a kid. But when I saw Bruce Lee in a commercial, it sparked all my passion. And I was around 13. I got really engulfed in it and went to, karate tournaments, taekwondo. I did taekwondo tournaments and competing all over the place. I loved it. It was like, I had nunchucks at the time. They didn't have the rubber ones. So I was whacking myself. So I put my boxing headgear on. My stepfather was a big boxing coach. So I had a boxing headgear. I put it on my head. So I was swinging around. It was everything to me. Yeah.
Okay, when you say you saw Bruce Lee in a commercial, what was it, like a commercial for a product, or you mean a commercial
No,
like a
into the
trailer for one of his movies?
one of his movies. He didn't
Oh,
do
okay, okay.
endorsements. He wasn't doing endorsements. He was
Yeah,
just
yeah, no, because I heard you say that before in another interview, and I wanted to ask you, like, did he actually? I didn't think he did commercials, but yeah, the trailer, the preview
yeah,
for a film that makes a lot of
yeah.
sense. Yeah, so outside of Bruce Lee, was he the main guy that inspired you for into the martial arts, or were there some other actors at the time?
Well, he was the first one, Then I wanted everything. So I started again as I was very young and live in New York City. The worst area in Manhattan was few areas, but 42nd Street, Times Square. That's where I would spend a lot of my time watching these kung fu movies for $2, $3 for back to back, two, three movies at a time sometimes after school. I engulfed myself into Raymond Charles Shaw Brothers, Five Deadly Venoms, Master Killer, uh, 18 Bronze Men. The list goes on and on. Samurai movies, Sonny Chiba, Japanese karate movies. It was everything, everything. I loved it. I loved the Bruce Lee lookalikes, even if they were bad. Even if they were bad, I watched them. Bruce Lee wasn't bad. Bruce Lee. Dragon Lee didn't look anything like him, but I liked him. There was so many, so many. Trying to get a piece of that Bruce Lee fire.
Yeah, and I remember just watching a lot of these martial arts movies, and they were bad, but
Yeah,
watching them specifically for the martial arts. But which one thing I love about
yeah. The
Very Gory
choreography
Less,
was amazing, amazing.
huh?
Choreography was amazing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I grew up on a lot more of the American films. Billy Blanks was big. Jalal Murray.
Me and
Uh,
Billy used to train together in a little garage every day in California.
oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Over the summer, like he still trains people in the martial arts, and obviously
Yeah,
still does Taibo and everything. I got to do a little bit of boxing with him at his house, which was a lot of fun.
yeah.
So, how'd you meet Billy? Was this before or after you did the movie?
In the tournament scene initially, and then when I was out in Hollywood, we hooked up, and I was training with him before he opened up his space. And at the time, Paula Abdul's sister was a dance choreographer, and he needed to rent out the space when he wasn't using it. And then all the video vixens would come there, and all the guys would come there, and that's how it took off his space. But right before it opened and during, we would train in this small garage every day in the morning.
But you guys never fought each other in the tournament scene,
No,
right?
he was always heavyweight, and I was kickboxing, and then I would go in and out of tournaments. At the time, a lot of my friends were doing tournaments religiously. After I got into my 20s, I was focused on learning how to act. Uh, yeah, just that was because um, training was everything, and then acting, but not competition because there's no money in it.
Okay, but you did win a kickboxing title in New York, didn't you?
But I was 18.
You were
That
18.
was
Okay.
before the Last Dragon. Yeah.
If there were money in it, like
Oh
there's
yeah.
still not money in kickboxing, but there's a lot of money in MMA. If that were
Yeah.
the
Back
case,
then. Yeah, you're right. That's it.
is that something you think you would have wanted to pursue, like a career as an MMA fighter, if
Any
money?
guy that's willing to go full out, any guy that's willing to go full out, it's always a risk. But if there's money, that always makes the risk a little more inviting, right? You
For sure. But would you say you have that competitive spirit where you would have wanted to be a pro fighter if it, made sense and was lucrative enough?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I wrestled in high school, but at the time, if you didn't know grappling well, um, if if there was if the Gracies were already in New York, and really doing their thing, and I would have been able to learn uh, from the best at the time, definitely I would have got into it. But and there was money into it, but if they didn't, you know, it would have been a tough road to climb.
But you never thought about boxing because there's always been money in the boxing world, just straight
Yeah, my
boxing.
stepfather was Donald Hayes. He was a huge boxing coach, and I trained as a kid at Times Square Boxing. But the thing was, uh, I didn't have the appeal like I did for martial arts. I just wasn't appealed. They didn't care how much money was in boxing. My
Okay.
appeal was martial arts at the time. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So let's get to the movie. So, how'd you get involved in the movie? Because at the time, you hadn't acted in anything and you end up with the role in like a big theatrically released film. So, how'd you get involved? When did you hear about this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream because of the whole thing about watching all these kung fu movies and this. It was a dream, a fantasy. I was always fantasizing. I came up pretty tough, as a kid, and I kind of went into my man cave all the time, and I would wake up and go running in the morning, and in the park, and then I train at night, and in between that, I was watching all these movies, going to school, blah blah blah, and then dating, going to parties and clubs, and the whole New York scene. Um, I I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Yeah, basically how you got involved. Like you must have heard that, oh, they're casting this big martial arts film
Right.
or
What happened was